And we're going to talk about what about near-death experience, NDEs, okay? Because this has gone from just silly talk to people, medical doctors, professionals, actually tracking the evidence with their machines. And Dr. Habermas is going to talk about some of the data that has been collected. So scholars looking at what we're going to tell you today, here's what some of the skeptics say about the evidence we're going to present to you about near-death experiences, what happened to these people, okay? Here is John Beloff. He is writing in the Humanist magazine, all right? He's a skeptic, and he says this, that evidence for an afterlife was so strong that humanists should just admit it and attempt to interpret it in naturalistic terms. Anthony Flew, who for 40 years was the world's foremost atheist, okay? And Gary and I, we both knew him. I did a program with Gary where we did 8 debate programs with Anthony Flew, okay, when he was a solid atheist, all right? He looked at near-death experiences and said this, the evidence equally certainly weakens if it does not completely refute my arguments against doctrines of a future life. Now, what is that evidence? That's what we want you to hear today, and most of you have not heard the kind of evidence that Dr. Habermas is going to present. He did his PhD at Michigan State on the resurrection in 1976. Almost about that time, or just a little bit after, he also started thinking about near-death experiences. How does this relate to what is being said about the resurrection? Does it add something to the credibility of an afterlife? And you tell me how you got into this.
Well, that's exactly how I got into it. That if I'm going to study resurrection, and if that makes us talk about another realm, so that probably the most frequent critique today from skeptics is not, oh, I think such and such a naturalistic theory explains the resurrection. It's, well, yeah, you've piled up some, like John Beloff, you've piled up some pretty good evidence here, but you're asking me to believe in Narnia. You're asking me to believe in Oz. I don't know a world like that. I've never been there. So I think that something else besides resurrection must have happened. So what NDEs did for me was, in fact, I often start lectures on NDEs like this. I'll say, what if I told you folks that there is a Narnia?
Yeah, that's C.S. Lewis's term for heaven, okay?
Sure. Right. How would you like to meet Aslan someday? We go, that's cool, haha, nice story. We call that fiction. Well, how do we know if there's a realm like that? I think to open up that realm, and if you say, wow, there really is something, I think it should make us more open to resurrection. So that's how I got into it. And one way, just recently, the latest book on near-death experiences was published by the University of Missouri Press. So we're not talking some fictional dime store book. A serious book edited by a medical doctor. Many authors in there are medical doctors. And they decide, you can get this right on the beginning of the book, that 9 to 20 million Americans have had near-death experiences.
Yeah, let me say that again. I mean, I've got the statement right here. Between 9 and 20 million Americans have had near-death experiences.
Now some, it might just be right there in the room and you're looking at your own bed or the bed in the hospital. But a number of them, people believe they are elsewhere. So I'm thinking to myself, if there's 9 to 20, let's say an average 13, 14 million, how many of them think they were in another realm? Well, millions. So you may not have seen Narnia. I may not have been to Oz, but we have millions of Americans who say, do you want to talk to me? I've been there. So that's what's on the line, is data here for another realm which could last forever.